We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. Uh-oh, thrift diving.
Hey, I'm Serena Apia from thriftdiving.com, which is a blog, a YouTube channel, and of course, a podcast that helps you decorate and improve your home with paint, power tools, and thrift stores. And we're not sacrificing your budget, the environment, or style. Okay, so today's episode is fantastic because we're talking about how to make money with your love of thrifting and DIY. Because I think you, me, everyone who's listening to this, we love taking things that are ugly, right? And making them pretty. So Jamela Wallace, she and I had a long conversation, and you can hear her in episode 7, where we're talking about how to find things from the thrift store, how to make it a cohesive look. And she and I were having such a great conversation. We said, look, we got to keep this going. Let's talk about how you use this love of thrifting and DIY to find old, ugly properties and fix them up and make money off of renting them. So, here at Thrift Diving, we don't talk about real estate investing. That's not really what this is. But, if you're listening to this, you're someone like me, someone like Jamela, who loves ugly things and making them pretty. We love old things. It's got a lot more character and value than the new stuff. And I think it segues really nicely into investment property because you can find an old property for a discount and put that love of DIY and home improvement into the house and make yourself some money. So today we're just talking about how to take your love of DIY and put it into real estate investing, having a side business. So let's jump into episode 8 with Jamela Wallace. So we are talking with Jamela Wallace, aka Kim. So you'll hear her by both names. We're talking about thrift stores and about people who are creative and how this love of creating really segues into so many other things that you can do. It's not just being at home in your garage or in your basement working on projects. It's possibly selling things. It's not just thrifting furniture, but thrifting homes, finding homes that you can make over and possibly increase your net worth because you're doing real estate investing. And then also helping other people because you've got this skill. So welcome back. We had just talked to you in episode 7. So this is episode 8 of the Thrift Diving podcast. Welcome back, Jamela.
Thank you, Serena. I appreciate that again.
So you and I had been talking for a little while. I should say we're Facebook friends, and you had been following my blog, and we become friends on Facebook for many of years now. And we started talking about investment properties because I wanted to buy one. And you had sent me some links and said, Serena, there's some properties down here in South Carolina. You got to look. How did you make this segue from loving thrift stores and finding old things and making them look beautiful to finding homes and making them look beautiful? Tell me about that segue and how you got into finding properties.
This goes actually back to when I lived in Newark, New Jersey. My father owned homes, so that led us into having investment properties. There was a house that our first house that we bought, we were 22 years old when we bought our home, and it was a 3-family house. It belonged to his aunt. And what happened, the house caught fire from the 3rd floor. So the 3rd floor was burned, no roof, and then you had the water damage. No one really wanted the house. So my father said, buy the house. So we were like, I don't want that house. It looks awful. He was like, it's still standing. There's nothing wrong with the house. That's all cosmetics. Needless to say, we bought the house. It was a 3-family house and we had it fixed up. And that's where we lived all the time until I moved to South Carolina. And when we bought that house, we had to do all the 3rd floor had to be rebuilt. The roof had to be put back on. We got the house really cheap. It was assumable mortgage through the VA because she had a veteran's loan. So we just assumed the mortgage. And then that's when they started with the 50 whatever loan that you could get.
Oh, is it like the 203?
203? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We were actually a pilot for that program. We knew someone that was starting it in that area. So he asked us and we said, yes, we definitely want to be a part of that. So we were able to get the loan and get the house fixed up. So that started our process of trying to get into real estate. So I lived on the 1st floor. My sister lived on the 2nd floor and we rented out the 3rd floor. 3rd floor rent was basically paying the bulk of the mortgage on the house.
Mm.
So that allowed us to be like more mindful of, okay, so we need to have more investment properties. That got the ball rolling. And like I said, my father was always into real estate as well. So when I moved to South Carolina, I knew I didn't want to, from leaving from Jersey, I didn't want a high mortgage. I just don't want, I'm not of that realm where I want a high mortgage. Anything over $1,000 to me is expensive. So that's my mindset. And I always look at, okay, if one of us get unemployed, is unemployment going to cover that mortgage? So I live in that frame of thinking, so to speak. So down here, when we bought the house, it was relatively inexpensive. Coming from up north, people are like, what are you living in a shack? And I'm like, no, the houses down here are cheap. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We were happy with that. So as I'm living here, I'm starting to see how the houses are really even cheap. It was pretty much word of mouth. I found a house for my mother cheap. I found a house for my brother, from my aunt. They were buying houses. So from that point on, that's when I said, well, you know what? Either I need to go in real estate or I need to just buy some houses myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started saying, okay, it's time to redirect my thoughts. And when my son bought his house, that came through word of mouth. A lot of times in these small towns, things are word of mouth. And that was just a word of mouth. My brother had bought a house from this woman, and he didn't pay but $5,000 for it. I couldn't believe it. It was a brick frame house. He could move in it. So he moved in it and he fixed it up while he was living in there. So she owned the house that was next to my brother's house. And so she said, you could find yourself a neighbor because I'm selling the other house. So he called me. I wanted to do it, but then I said, no, I want my son to start getting involved with real estate as well. So I called him up. I said, Amir, she's selling the house. You need to buy this house. He says, oh, Mommy, I don't know if I want to buy a house. I don't want to get into that. I said, no, you misunderstood what I said. You're buying this house. So he said, oh, no. So he bought it, needless to say, paid $8,000 for it. So it's unheard of.
How long ago was this that he bought this house?
He bought the house. It's been, I want to say 6 years ago.
6 years ago for $8,000. My goodness.
Yeah. And then he put some money into redoing it because it was all dated. Mint green must have been the icon back then because everything was mint green, from the car colors, everything.
You know, in my kid's bathroom, I call it avocado green, but I imagine it's probably in the same family. My kid's bathroom, their toilet and their shower was mint green, avocado green. Yes, if it was a 70s, probably 40s, 50s, 60s. In that time,
Yeah.
powder blue and avocado mint green was like.
Yes. So he got rid of everything, and he got the bathroom and the kitchen. And then all the carpet came up. So we did the floors. The floors were botched up because they installed central air and heat. So where they cut through the original floor, they put down plywood. He needed to have all new flooring put down to be cohesive throughout the house. So he put down all new floors, painted, installed new windows. Kitchen is all redone, new cabinetry. We kept the top cabinets because they were solid wood and they were in good condition. And he just replaced the bottom cabinetry and then put a new appliance. So the house looks more modern on the inside. And then on the outside, it was real ratty in the back of the house. So we tore that down. It was like an outside building that was attached to the house. So we tore that down and we installed a deck on the back of the house. Put some work into it, but it's more well worth it.
Now, how much did it, if you don't mind my asking, how much did the repairs cost? And did he hire contractors to do it, or was he able to do some of the work himself?
He did some of the work himself. He laid the floor. He started the floor process, but then he moved away, and then we had to hire somebody else to come in and finish the floors. We did hire a contractor to install the kitchen cabinetry and the new sink and everything because, again, he had moved away. But he started the painting process. He did all the painting, which is the easy stuff. He hung the new light fixtures and so forth. And then the floor, the bathroom, we hired somebody to do that as well. So it was a mixture of both. My son was just learning to get into all of this stuff. So he didn't want to do too much that he couldn't do.
Right.
moved out of state in the midst of all of it. So we had to hire a contractor. So it was more, he must have put about, I want to say roughly between paying the contractors and the supplies and everything that needed. I think he put in about roughly $8,000 as far as getting a house. Yeah.
He got a nice house. Now, this is the son that you helped do his bedroom, correct?
We call it the Brick Cottage Project. And as a matter of fact, if you go online, you can just Google the Brick Cottage Project. It will come up. So I did that whole series. I developed a little series on the whole process of that house for him. Yes, check it out. It's like I said, it's called the Brick Cottage Project.
What's the name of your blog again?
It is Viva La Vintage for
Viva La Vintage for your home.com. Because I know I saw when I was looking at your Instagram, which is you are Vintage Girl. Yes, I'm getting it. You are Vintage Girl. I noticed that when I clicked on the link in your bio or your profile, I think you've got a link there for the project, or at least it goes to your blog, and then you'll be able to see the process. So he moved out of state. How long was he gone before he came back?
He was gone about a year. So we rented it out. The house was rented we get a rental income of $600 a month.
Wow.
So the rent pretty much is going to pay for the house. It has already paid for the house. So he lived there for a year when he came back home. He got a job back in South Carolina, so he came back home. So that allowed him to live free, basically, in his house. And then now he's back again and he's renting it out. So again, we collect $600 a month rent, which is by far a wonderful amount to pay for rent for a house. Living room, dining room, kitchen. It has central air and central heat. It sits on about a half an acre of land. It's a nice size house for cottage living. I love it. I think it's
okay. He had acquired that property. So have you done another property since then?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, yes, we formed a little group. It's me, my sister, and our 2 children. So we formed a little investment group.
Wow.
And we got another house. We bought it just recently. And luckily, the houses that we've gotten so far, they don't need tons and tons of work. But we did do some work in them. And we bought this second piece of property. We paid $23,000 for it. And we put down $7,000. So we are only financing the $15,000 or whatever is what we're financing. But we rent that out. And again, we get $600 a month rent. So the rent covers the mortgage and then whatever we put in to fix up the house, which didn't need a lot of work. Because again, it has central air and heat. That was our main thing to look at. Make sure at least had that installed because that is expensive to install.
Now, your sister, I know she's as creative as you are, right? Because she's the one that found that vanity with you. She loved it with you. So she's creative and crafty.
And me and my sister, we bought that house, our very first house. We bought that together.
Yes.
So we do a lot of things together.
Now, is she handy? Has she done any of the projects inside of the home that you just bought? You're renting it now. It didn't need a lot. So have you guys done... I should ask you this. What are the things that you guys had to do in that home to get it ready to rent? Even though it didn't need a lot, what did you have to do?
Well, we did have to paint and clean it up and so forth. We painted and then we installed a new bathroom. We had the bathroom gutted. I had a new bathroom installed because it was not right. Those are the 2 things that we really had to do. The main thing was the bathroom. The kitchen was in good shape. We just needed to clean it and paint it. Install like a backsplash. We did that, kind of give it a little bit more of a modern look to it, but we didn't have to do a lot of work. My son, he installed all new lighting, which is a wonderful thing that he was able to do because he's now doing electrical work. So that helps a lot.
Wow.
So he did that. And then we all just came together and just did a lot of the work.
That is amazing. What is really interesting to me is when you can find a group of people like your family that you trust, have skills. Your son's got the electrical skills. Your sister can help paint and you guys can hire to do the other work that you don't want to or can't do.
And we pay for everything that has to be paid for. We pay for it as a group. We're working together on this, and it gives her children and my children the opportunity of having rental income and exposing them to this kind of thinking to have, and also a business mind. So it set that groundwork for that.
Yes. And I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward, you guys don't, especially if you find a place that needs even more work and you're like, you know what? instead of hiring, we can do some of this ourselves, because I think the things that we do in our own homes, the decorating that we do, the home improvements, the repairs, all of these things are transferable skills. And that's what I wanted to point out in this podcast, is that we love making over ugly furniture. It's a bigger leap going from furniture to a home, but I want people, I want them to think outside of the box, because if you're someone who loves to decorate and you love to paint bathrooms and bedrooms and all of that, start thinking about doing that on another home that isn't yours, that maybe somebody could rent from you and bring in income. And that's what I've been thinking of really over the last year. And it's been a little bit of a struggle for me, because in this area, in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, everything is so expensive. And I worry that if I buy in the wrong place that's more affordable, I'm not going to be able to make it up in rent, because I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to pay outright cash for it. So I've got some challenges that I'm working through. But I think one thing that's great about the area where you live is that there's still homes that you're finding right now that are in the 20s and 30,000s, right?
Yes. And
So
those homes, believe it or not, Serena, when I first moved here, my family we have an investment group that's in stocks and things like that. But I tried to get them to buy houses here when I first moved here. And they just wasn't understanding that you could buy a house for 10, or back then they were $8, $9, $10,000. We can invest in these. And they were like, who wants to live in Whitmire? Who wants to? Believe it or not, it's easy to rent a house here in Whitmire, because people are wanting those homes to rent for under $1,000 a month, under $800 a month. I always say everybody can't live in homes that cost $1,500, $1,600 a month. Everybody can't afford to pay $1,000 a month for rent, but you could have something that you could live in for paying $600 or $700. That's doable. You could easily have no problems with finding someone. Was it the old saying, you kill more flies with honey than you can with whatever? So it's like that concept. Yeah, you could get that group that still has affordable housing.
Yes.
Without breaking the bank, because we didn't put a lot of money into it.
Right. And what's amazing to me is that you're helping people. You're providing homes to people who, like you said, they can't afford $1,500 or $1,600 a month for rent in this other area that's not Whitmire. But there are people who are going to need to live in Whitmire who don't want to leave that area, but still want a nice place to call home. That's what we all want, is a nice place to call home.
It's possible that they want to live somewhere where they could save money and buy their own. At least you're not spending all your money paying rent where you have no room to save to buy your own. That's always that fine line there. Well, how do you save enough money to put a $10,000, $15,000 down payment on a house when you still paying $2,000 a month rent, or you're paying $1,500 a month rent?
Exactly.
It's just not doable. Yeah. And so I'm finding that when I put my son's house on the market to rent, I was overwhelmed with how many people wanted to live here. I couldn't believe my inbox was just blowing up on Facebook. I had only put it on the Facebook marketplace, and I was getting so many hits. I was like overwhelmed, but they were wanting to come from Columbia, all the areas around us. So they're willing to drive that extra 45 minutes to save money for rent instead of living where they were working at. Whitmire is a small town, and it's right in the middle of Columbia, Spartanburg, and Greenville, the metropolitan areas. So they were willing to drive that distance to save the money on the rent.
So what are some of the other areas around Whitmire? Because I know at one point when you and I were messaging back and forth, you were telling me some towns. There was Whitmire. What are some of the other ones? So if someone's listening.
Chester is another area that is near us. Union is near us. Carlisle, Newberry, Chapin, Little Mountain. And Chapin is all in this area, but now those homes are very, very expensive now. So the price of living in South Carolina for homes is going up. It's on the rise. So you could still find, like I said, the houses that used to be in the tens range, $10,000, $12,000 range, are now in the $30,000, $40,000 range. So you could still buy a house with a tenant, if you wanted to find something for about $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
But then the value is right at about 35, 36,000. So it doesn't give you, but it gives you that residual income.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something people have to think about when
Mhm.
they're planning for their retirement. We're going to get to an age where we're either going to have a 401k or 403b retirement account to supplement our income. Social Security may or may not be there.
Right.
So by the time I'm ready to officially retire, it may not be there. So you have to look forward to the future and think, how are you going to be able to supplement your income? And that's why I think taking what we love right now, which is taking things that are ugly and making them pretty, instead of just applying that to furniture and just applying that to our own homes, how can we apply that to another home? And there are challenges, like I said, in my area because things are so expensive. But as you're talking, I'm thinking, why not come to Whitmire and buy a place? Because I know you had said, you sent me those links and you said, you can come on down here. You can come on down here, Serena. There's homes available. And of course, I gave you every complaint or every reason why I've got young kids and I've got this. But some of the homes that you're finding, they don't need a lot of work. So even if you're just there for a short period of time, fixing it up for even, and I'm saying this for even people who live out of state that say, okay, maybe I'll come to Whitmire or one of these one of these local areas and get a place. And maybe you're here for a week or two, but you have some contractors coming in. Then you rent the place, you get someone to maybe do the property management. You've got money coming in. You don't necessarily have to. That's what I'm trying to get over the hump of thinking that whatever I invest in has to be down the street. And that's not necessarily the case. We can go where there's more affordable housing and we can take all of these skills that we've learned, even just home improvement, laying new floors, and put that into something that's going to grow our portfolio and put money in our pocket for years to come.
Right. Well, I do our town yard sale. It's called the Eye to Eye yard sale. And I started this 9 years ago. And it was to bring people into the town from wherever. But this yard sale grew. But this particular year, I'm starting to see different phases. I love talking to people and meeting them. And we have a lot of new people that move to town. And when I said, oh, okay, where are you from? And they would tell me, oh, and they were looking for cheap homes. And mine pops up on a map to find a home for about $20,000. I met a young lady who moved here from Charleston. She says, I'm tired of paying $200,000 for a mortgage. I don't see the value in my money going anywhere. So she did a little homework on the town because she has a daughter. She looked up Whitmire School and so, okay, it's a good school. And so she said she bought the house. She said she spent $18,000 for the house and she had some work done in it. And she rehabbed it all while she was living in Charleston. Then eventually she sold the house in Charleston and moved here. Now she's only in her late 30s. So she said, I don't have a mortgage anymore. I'm living in my house. I said, wow, that's wonderful. She said, yeah, I'm pretty happy. She said, it's a small house. It's a cottage style house, but I don't need a lot of space. That's what she said. I don't need a lot. I just want easy living. And I said, I get it. So I was impressed listening to her, talk about it. So I said, see, that's what Whitmire is all about.
Yes. People that don't want to put up with paying for large mortgages. You don't have to have a huge mortgage in order to be happy.
I'm reading more and more articles where people are gravitating to small town living now. They're seeing the beauty of the quaintness, the quietness, and I want to say, who everybody knows everybody feeling. They're starting to see the beauty in that now. I know I do. I see it because coming from Newark, New Jersey, it was always busy, a lot of noise, a lot of traffic, foot traffic. But here it was a world of difference where it's more, so who's your family? When you meet somebody, that's a new face in town. So, where you from? Who's your family is always the question, because to be here, you have to know somebody, or you just don't pop up here.
Right.
You kind of like,
well, maybe I will.
Like, who's your folks? So you got to say, but it's a good thing. And I saw that a lot of people are gravitating to that because some people don't like development living because you pay the fees and then the traffic that's starting to happen in developments when there's a lot of developments, the traffic. So that's another thing that I hear people poo-poo on. But this area is starting to grow, and I could see the growth happening now because as I travel up and down the road, see where trees are cut down. of trees that used to be there, they're going. So I know a change is happening. I just don't know what's happening when I bought, years ago.
Well, if you see a Starbucks or a Whole Foods pop up, you'll know what's happening.
Listen, there's two new gas stations on the interstate exit. And I'm like, wait a minute. 4 gas stations now? They're not going to just put 4 gas stations here in this area just for the heck of it.
There's some plans. There's only so much land. So there's only so much building you can do inside of a city. You have to push out, and things just continuously push out and push out. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably some developmental or that's coming into the area, or they start noticing that there's more people moving out. So they think, okay, let's bring some businesses, maybe a shopping mall or something. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing because it's bringing more people and it penetrates that small town feel that you get.
It does. And with Whitmire, the population is about 1,500, but we have also the town of Whitmire, then we have the actual area in which Whitmire is. Being in the National Forest area, we get a lot of hunters and so forth in this area. So they're looking for, we have no place for them to stay, basically. There's no hotels and things like that. So even if you was to scoop up one of the houses and have it as a Airbnb, is wonderful. There are some homes still available, but believe it or not, over the time frame that I've been here, a lot of the houses were sold. So it's to actually find homes for sale now here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting tight. So
yeah, that makes me a little worried now because I feel like I want to look up some homes in that area. It's funny that you mentioned the Airbnb. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. Her name is Wendy. I don't know if you read her blog. Her blog is called H2O Bungalow. Yeah. So Wendy, just to give you a little background, she lived in Texas. She owned a real estate company and had moved to Florida, had sold that, moved to Florida with her husband. And in the last couple of years, probably the last 3 years, she had gone to Vermont, visited a friend, and found a duplex. She loved this duplex. It was in bad shape. She spent I don't even know how much time, but a lot of time rehabbing the entire thing. There was a contractor that she was able to find locally that came in and helped her do some of the stuff that she didn't know how to do. But not only was it all blog content, so she made videos, she put it on her blog. Now she rents these 2 out. It's in Vermont, and in the winter, there's skiing. And in the summertime, there's all sorts of trails and hiking. And so she rents those out. She just bought, maybe 2 years ago, she just bought a condo in that same town and renovated that, again, using her skills of what she knows how to do for her own house, decorating and DIY. And now she recently just bought 8 acres of land in Vermont that she's going to put 2 tiny homes. She's going to make it like a glamping experience. People that love camping, but they want to do something a little bit more extravagant. She's going to do a hot tub. She's going to do all these amazing things. And as I'm listening to her, I'm like, wow, Wendy, this is amazing. I wish I had the experience that you are. And she said, Serena, I'll help you. She said, my main advice to you is to find homes where people can have experiences. So when you had mentioned about people coming in to do hunting, people are coming in for that hunting experience, but they don't have anywhere to stay. So finding a place like Whitmire where people are doing hunting, but you could offer them this Airbnb experience. It looks beautiful.
People don't even realize there's a river that people go canoeing. Yes.
Wow. So all of that decorating that people love to do, find this property that offers that experience, make it look amazing with thrift store things, antiques, and rent it out on Airbnb, make some money, and have this property be something that pulls money into you. But you can also use it yourself during a time when there's a vacancy. But if it's popular, you may not even have any vacancy because people want that experience and you're showing up on the radar on Airbnb. So that's how we can use our skills and find those properties. But you know what? I'm excited to research Whitmire. I really am. I am so excited because you have no idea. The last couple of days I was feeling very deflated because I want a property so bad to pretty. I want something ugly and I want to make it pretty. Yes, I've got a pot of money here, not very much, but I have a pot of money that I can buy something, but I can't buy something outright in this area. It's too expensive.
Right. Mhm.
So just hearing
And the
about,
thing is, if you have to have a mortgage, then a low mortgage.
yes,
You want either no to low mortgage.
yeah,
We just bought another one, and that house we paid cash for it. Another group of us, we paid cash for a house. We paid 17,000 for that. So there is no mortgage on that house. We have a rental. We have it rented. The renter came with the house, so that was wonderful. Yeah, we just
yes,
needed to put a new roof on the house, so we paid and had a roof put on the house, and that's it. So we lucked up on that one, but we worked real fast on this one. When it went on the market, we was like, bam, let's get this house right now.
oh my goodness.
So that was another fluke. Again, I'm always on a hunt trying to find something.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you're doing in order to make money on the side, and you're using your skills, your DIY skills, your creative skills. So tell us about your Etsy shop, because I noticed that you and your sister started this shop.
It's really just me for the Etsy, but me and my sister, we started a business called Pieces of Time.
Okay.
That was our antique shop. And then I moved away, and then her and another girlfriend of ours, who we all were in the antique business together, they formed Pieces of Time Estate Sale Services.
Okay.
So that's what my sister Amina and Renee, they do the estate sale services in New Jersey. I do some here in South Carolina. So now we have our little, what we call Pieces of Time Estate Sale Services.
I have a little bit of everything going on.
Everything.
How do
I
you
have
have time to sleep and eat?
But it's the love of everything. So again, through Etsy shop, I just sell like the pillows I just started making, and then other little finds. I want to be able to just sell small items that, people could buy, that where it doesn't cost a fortune. Our motto is, at an estate sale, when we do a estate sale, is you should come in here and be able to buy something for $5. At least walk out that door with something that costs $5, where it won't break the bank, but you left with a sale. So in order to get that, we have to buy low. So we try to keep things where you could buy something cheap or you buy something high end, but even high end to us, $200 is a lot of money. We're not what you call a designer store. So you're not going to come in here. I'm not going to try to sell you anything for $1,000. It's just not me, because I know I won't buy it. So that's my mindset. Right. But I want you to have something equally as beautiful for your home as I have for mine, without breaking the bank. You should spend a lot of money trying to decorate your home, because you don't have to. You don't have to charge things. You don't have to go on these installment plans. You don't have to do all of that to decorate your home.
And let's talk about these installment plans. If you've noticed, whenever you shop online now, every single site has these. It could be something for $20 and it says, hey, this installment. They're making it so easy for you now to pay things in installment. And I feel that a lot of people are probably getting themselves in trouble because of that.
There's no need to. You could have a beautiful home and nice things without having to go on installment plans. Paying 2 years for furniture is like crazy.
It really is. When it comes to me, I love electronics. And so when it comes to buying computers or cameras, I usually will buy the best because I know that I'm going to keep them for years, and that technology changes so quickly that I need to have the latest features, because they're going to be obsolete in another couple of years. But when it comes to anything related to the home, I can't spend a lot of money. There's a funny situation that happened. I was talking to a girlfriend one day. This was before I bought a sofa. My sofa is the one thing that I will buy brand new, because I know I'm keeping it for a long time. When we moved into our condo, I bought my sofa brand new, kept it for 18 years. I just got a new one that's going to be delivered from Lazy Boy next month. But I was talking to her about sofas, and I said, I am looking in this price range. And she was telling me about a friend of hers who bought a sofa on sale for $10,000. And I thought, I know that $10,000 sofas exist, but in my mind, I can't imagine, is it sewn together with like gold thread? What is it that makes it $10,000? And it was just funny that some people's perspective of what's affordable is different than what's considered affordable. She thought that was like, wow, that's a good deal, 10,000. I was like, what, are you kidding me? And I said, what about a $5,000 sofa? Oh, that's cheap. I said, you think that's cheap? Because I still think that's a lot of money. So it's funny how people's perspective is so different and what they think is good quality. And so I think one thing that we're doing both you and I on the blogs and on our YouTube channels is we don't have to convince people because the people that find us love what we do. But
Right.
I think there's always opportunities to teach people who don't know that you can decorate on a budget. You don't have to
That's right.
do installments.
We have
You
enough
can
money.
get good furniture for not a lot of money.
Right.
You don't have to spend $10,000 on a sofa.
Just keep that in mind. Just to sit your butt on all day or
Yeah.
whatever. 4 hours a day, if that tops.
Yeah, that's
That's
just insane. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. But the last thing I wanted to say is to give people another option too, is that when you love DIY, when you love home improvement, you can also help other people. And I know in the last podcast, we were talking about how you had helped your son on his home, the one that he had
right.
bought, and you had done a really good job of decorating his bedroom. And I want people to also think that they can also do this for other people and charge money. I know you said before you don't really have any clients, but have you worked with people in the past where you've charged them a small fee to help them decorate or redo a room?
No, actually, I have not. I have not worked with anybody, but what I've noticed is that I had some people that would, I want to say, befriend me
Mhm.
to ask me my advice and help me take them where they need to go and find things. And I don't want to say it like they used me, but they did. But that's okay. I just say it's okay because I enjoyed helping you. And that's all of a sudden, once it's all done, it's, hey, remember me? We used to go out. We're not going out anymore. Oh, okay. But it's okay. I don't mind helping anybody. So my blog is what keeps me with that mind frame that I'm inspiring people to decorate their homes like this. But I'm not a designer. So I don't think I should be paid. And I do it because of the love that I have. And in the end, if you wanted to give me something, fine. Okay. But I'm not going to ask you for anything. No.
Mhm.
What comes natural for me, I just can't imagine charging. I don't even know what I would charge anybody. I'm so used to doing it for free, even for my son's friends. I'm like, I'll help you. I don't care. It gives me the joy of going out finding the stuff done for my son's friends. When they moved into their first apartments, they ask me what they need and I'll go out looking for them and I'll find it and bring it to them. They give me the money back what I paid. And that's fair enough for me. Just
Yeah.
if that's what you want, that's fine. I'm going to help you because I don't want you out here spending any kind of crazy money to decorate your house because you got bills to pay.
Yep.
Okay. That's my
And properties to
mindset.
buy. And properties to
Yes,
buy.
spend your money for other important things, not decorating this home and buying a $300 nightstand, which you don't need. I could find you one for 10, $15. Please stop before I spank you.
Yes, I know, right? So, but
Yeah.
it is good, even though you love doing it to help people, and I'm sure anybody that loves homes and decorating and home improvement and all of those things do
Mhm.
help friends and family. But I
Yeah.
like that we could harness what we do well and what we enjoy and
Right.
turn it into a side business if we
Yeah.
want, because some people may not realize that they could do this on the side or they don't feel that they're good enough to do it. But if people are always complimenting your home, if someone's listening to this and someone's always complimenting your home or your projects, that
Mhm.
is an avenue for being able to make money, especially in this pandemic that we're experiencing
Yeah.
right now. People are losing their
Mhm.
jobs and they're looking for
Right.
extra money. And there's still people
Right.
that have jobs and have disposable income where they will pay you to come in and do some things that,
Mhm.
because they'll be
I
helping you
would,
out. But
I don't think I would love to help somebody say revamp their place because some people just have stuff and they don't know how to make it look presentable.
right.
That I would love to come in and do, and maybe as a side gig and try to help people understand how to situate even just your paintings on your wall to get
Yeah.
that wall gallery look. Some people just have them spaced too far and don't know how to put it in the right way. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
could help you come and do that. Those kind of services are good to have because
Mhm.
not everybody has that eye, so to
Mhm.
speak. I mean, I find joy in trying to help you make your home have that cohesive, beautiful look without breaking the bank, you
Yeah, and
know?
you want to help people love their homes. There's nothing worse
Yeah,
than coming into your home and you feel just stressed. And
right. You should
yeah,
sanctuary. You want to make it that way. You should walk in your door and just smile and be like, thank God I'm home.
yes. And I
You
can tell
know?
you, for the longest time, I hated my home. Like when we bought this house, remember
Mhm,
well, the mortgage was expensive, but we
mhm,
could afford it. But I totally
mhm.
forgot that we needed money to decorate and improve the house. And
Right.
there were things that were wrong that we needed to repair. We had no money to do it. And it
Mhm.
was coming home every day from work, just being, because I wasn't blogging full time at that time. And I was just stressed. I literally
Right.
walked around for 2 months with this ball of anxiety in my stomach because I was just afraid. What if something breaks? How do I do this? How do I do that? But now that I feel self-sufficient, I don't consider myself to be a designer at all. In fact, I think that's where I probably most lack because I don't feel that I have the vision to put together everything. Sometimes I don't really care that I don't. As long as it's comfortable, it's clean,
Right.
and it looks like what I want it to look like.
Right.
But now I can walk in and say, oh, it's pretty comfortable here. I like this. I like how it looks. Doesn't look like
Right.
Pinterest, doesn't look like HGTV, but that's okay.
Right. That's
I'm
exactly right.
comfortable. And
It's okay.
paid for.
Exactly.
I'm not making
Everything
payments.
is- yeah.
So tell everybody where they can find you before we wrap it up.
Okay,
On
yes.
your blog.
Yes, you can find me on my blog, which is Viva La Vintage for Your Home. You can find me, and I have a Facebook page for that as well. I'm on Instagram with You Are Vintage Girl, and then my YouTube channel.
Yes, don't forget.
Bella
YouTube.
Wallace, that's right. You can find me on those 3 venues.
Okay, awesome. So this has been an amazing conversation. We've been talking for quite a while, and I know you're probably tired. I'm going to go and check on my kids and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we will definitely be back in contact because
Yeah.
I'm going to look up some of those Whitmire properties. There may not be.
I love looking. I don't stop looking, even though I think I'm pretty much tapped out of finding another house, but you never know. You
never
just
know.
And I'm going to keep sending you those too.
When you get any sort of notification about a good home, send it to me because I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I need to maybe look outside of Maryland. Baltimore is a really good place to invest, but I don't know enough about Baltimore, and you can get properties for 15, 20, 25, but I don't know enough about Baltimore. And some people have said, you got to be careful because if you're buying one of these cheaper properties in Baltimore, you're getting some danger, and so I don't want to buy where I don't know. So it makes me feel a little bit more relieved because Whitmire. So if I were to invest there and then come down
I'll help you, girl.
come down for a couple weeks and be like, I'm going to work on this project for a little bit and then find a renter and go back home.
I got you.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 8 of the Thrift Diving Podcast. Be sure to come back next week. Not sure what I'm going to be talking about, but I'll figure it out. All right, Jamila, thank you so much.
Serena. Thank you again.
I have to admit, I'm a little jealous of Jamila's investment group with her friends and her family and her sister. And the fact that her sons are involved is amazing. She is setting them up to make amazing financial decisions in their life for years to come and her grandkids' lives. So if this is something that's inspiring for you, I think the first step would be to just pick up a newspaper. Nowadays, people are not using newspapers for that. But, do a search, look to see if there's any properties that are in your area. Look at things that you've created in your home and see if this is something that people would pay you for. Maybe you could even send an email out or post something on Facebook to your friends and family and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling this. What do you think? Is this something that you would pay for? And if so, how much? Because our love of DIY and home improvement doesn't have to be contained to the things that we do in our own home. This is something we can take to other people, whether we're charging them or not charging them. And I think real estate investing specifically is a great way for us to take our love of DIY and home improvement and make money, and like Jamila is saying, you are providing affordable housing for someone who otherwise may not be able to afford it, to buy that property. So anyway, this is a great episode. I hope you were inspired. Remember, we've got a whole bunch of other episodes that have already been published. Well, to me, a lot of episodes is 8 episodes. But there's more coming. Next week on episode 9, we're talking to Rory from Bug Boys. We're talking termites, we're talking bed bugs, things that could cause you a nightmare in your home. And be sure to subscribe, send this to your friends, family, and I will see you on the next Thrift Diving Podcast.